So the basic fee arrangement where you might be on the pension and you may not have much in the way of assets except perhaps your own home. And so that is taken into account. I think the accommodation fees are paid by the Commonwealth, and so are the care fees if you are completely eligible for fully supported aged care assistance from the Commonwealth. And it just goes on from there. Now, before I sort of finish my longish answer, I would urge anybody who's thinking about going into aged care, anybody who knows somebody who's thinking about it, that there are advantages if you go and see a financial advisor. If you have significant assets or complicated assets, and they are, I mean, in my observation, they're pretty well trained in helping people and in improving their financial position. If you try and do it on your own, well, it's a bit like trying to pull your own teeth.
The refundable accommodation deposit is determined by the amount of money that has been available, the assets, correct?
The refundable accommodation deposit, no, it's not dependent on the assets of the person.
Uh-huh.
It's first of all set by the aged care home.
Oh, okay.
So it depends on the aged care home. You might go to some place in, say, Vaucluse, and you'll be told that, and I'm guessing here, but I'm reasonably confident about my guess, that you'd be told that a deposit will be somewhere north of $1 million.
Gosh.
Wow.
That's the provider's decision, and they are running their business. However, where you get sort of into the intermediate or the median stage or range, often deposits will be in the hundreds of thousands, of course. It might range from a couple of 100,000 through to, well, 800,000-900,000. And there are thousands of beds or places in aged care homes, tens of thousands around the country, of course. Well, there's a couple of 100,000 actually around the country. So it's a matter of negotiation. You can split the deposit between, say, paying 50% of the deposit if you've got that money, and then paying the rest on a calculation of the amount that is payable divided by 365 and pay that every year.
Rodney, what about those people who've been paying rent their whole lives? They don't have any assets.
Yeah, good question, and many people ask themselves that. The good story is that, as I mentioned earlier, the Commonwealth took over the cost of funding aged care back in 1997. They were already providing funds, but this was the big turnaround, as it were. So people without means, without income other than the pension, with very little in assets, are able to enter aged care, and the Commonwealth will pay a basic fee for accommodation to the provider and a basic care fee for the care and nursing attention and so on and all the facilities. So combining those two, the pensioner would then be receiving 15% of their pension. The other 85% is deducted and directed towards their aged care. Mm-hmm. That's the basic arithmetic for it. So nobody misses out who needs it.
We've heard varying reports about the standard of care and some of the abuse that goes on in hopefully what is a small proportion of some of the aged care homes. How is the law covering all of this, Rodney? Is there a law that embraces what happens in nursing homes?
Gee, that's a good question, Lex. That has been keeping me awake at night for years. The problem is that the answer is no. I think you mentioned I've been a lawyer for a long time. I have looked very closely at this, and there are lots and lots of gaps in the legal recourse that people in aged care, residents in aged care, can look to. I'll give you an example of the problems, the legal problems. In the Aged Care Act, there is a reference to a charter of rights. When somebody goes into an aged care home, they are told that there is a Charter of Rights and that they have these rights and they are given a copy of these rights. Now, up until just recently, maybe 2019, that was pretty much it. And they were given a copy of the rights, but that was it. And if you have a close look at and analyse the Aged Care Act, you will find, ultimately, but this is a bit like finding a speck of gold, you'll find a provision in the Act which says that most of the parts relating to care and also the rights are not enforceable at law. At least, yeah, right. But that's one small insight into the work that is needed to be done in relation to aged care legal issues.